say.
The federal government and the Nigeria Labour Congress failed to reach an agreement during the meeting earlier today at the presidential villa, while NLC leadership insists on the planned protest holding tomorrow.
The Nigeria Labour Congress seems to be indecisive about the planned protest scheduled for Wednesday. But they are not impressed with the plans of President Tinubu to cushion the impact of subsidy removal. After meeting with the Presidential Steering Committee on Palliatives, Organised Labour seems unsure about going ahead to protest, especially as some groups and civil society organizations are announcing their intention to pull out of the planned protests.
Bosses should be put across all our higher institutions to enable us cope with the fuel subsidy period, which he has approved that. I'm sure that you people know yesterday with that release we were able to get that. Then the next thing we are looking at is the issue of the palliative, how it goes to make sure that we are able to get it right.
Issues around the law, because the law that prescribes minimum wage said 5 years. Until you are made that, no other thing can kick in. But we said for the immediate, let government come out. Just as some state government has announced that we're paying 40,000, some say 50,000. So they should do something like that.
The government came with an appeal of shifting the intended protest tomorrow. We say no, this is not something that for us to discuss here, because we have other organs of the union that we have to go back and look at it critically.
The president also promised public workers that an upward review of the minimum wage is imminent. But the labor unions want an interim wage award before a new living wage is implemented.
In his broadcast yesterday, we made it clear that this was just Mr. President's initial rollout and interventions, and that conversations will be ongoing as we go along. And we appeal to Labour. We did appeal to Labour to call up their protest for tomorrow. We found listening ears here, and they did agree that they all accepted that Mr. President's broadcast was a welcome development.
President Tinubu also hopes his statewide broadcast and announcement of some short-term measures to jumpstart the economy and improve livelihood will placate Nigerians and also give his administration more time to fully implement the subsidy palliatives.
The Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria has come up again with yet another warning. This time it says the rise in the price of crude and foreign exchange may lead to a further hike in the price of petrol. Ipman spoke at the interface with the ADA Committee on Full Subsidy Removal. National Assembly correspondent Joke Adisa was there.
Government's removal of subsidy on petrol has sparked several conversations in the last 2 months. Beyond the talks, the impact of the policy is being felt by the rich and the poor. Government has announced a number of measures it believes will alleviate the suffering of the people. But the House of Representatives set up this committee to investigate the latest increase in the price of petrol by over 300% and recommend ways of cushioning the impact of the subsidy removal on the people.
Statistics shows that Nigerians spend an average of 80% of their incomes in food alone. This is why we fear that this recent increase will further push Nigerians deeper below the poverty line.
Ipman president speaks on the volatility of the price of petrol, especially with an anticipated rise in the price of crude as well as foreign exchange. The association recommends a transition from petrol to compressed natural gas, CNG. Ipman highlights lower cost, reduced emissions, and improved fuel efficiency as some of the advantages of the CNG.
Our research, we have done our numbers to see that this is the way to go now. You're talking about the hazardness in gas, it's not in CNG. It's lighter than air.
It will save Nigerians 2 billion naira every day, or 730 billion naira every year. Just by transitioning 10% of the petrol we consume today to natural gas.
The legislators asked probing questions to better understand the proposed alternative to petrol.
It must be a conscious effort
for us to look at gas development, gas gathering projects, to gather all these gases that are fled in different locations.
At the end of the meeting, the committee says there's need for government to abide strictly with the Petroleum Industry Act.
Granting more licenses, more opportunities to suppliers to bring in fuel is also an alternative we can look at.
The committee is also to meet with the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, Central Bank of Nigeria, and the Nigeria Labour Congress in the course of its assignment. Joke Edsa, TVC News, Abuja.